I.O.T, powering the digital economy. Brought to you by Schneider Electric.
Digital innovation is affecting every aspect of our 21st century lives. It's dramatically changing our daily habits, like shopping. These days, fewer transactions are like this, and more happen like this. And m-commerce, shopping on your mobile phone, has changed customer expectations even further. With a smart device, we can buy stuff anytime, anywhere, any place, and shop around for the best deals online. The implications for traditional bricks and mortar stores are complex. While prestigious shopping areas, like here on London's Oxford Street, are gearing up for a bonanza Christmas, elsewhere there have been big brand blips. Store closures from Gap to Staples, Abercrombie to Michael Kors. So is there a future for bricks and mortar stores? Just how is the retail sector navigating the fast-moving digital economy?
Winter brings with it the great annual retail surges like Black Friday and the run-up to Christmas. Retailers have to innovate to ensure technology keeps up with demand, that platforms stay online, and that the ever-increasing mountain of user data is protected securely. In this programme, I'll be looking at how a UK high street bookseller is responding to the challenges of the digital age. And I'll find out how a disruptor business is harnessing digital innovation and changing the way we shop. We'll go to Brussels to discover how the regulatory regime around the use of customer data is tightening up.
And finally, we'll gaze into the future to discover the digital technology that will change things yet more for retailers and their customers. This is the flagship store of bookseller Waterstones in the heart of London's West End. It's currently one of 277 stores across the UK and Europe, and there are plans to open more.
James Daunt, who has a long track record in bookselling, was brought in as managing director in 2011 when the chain was facing bankruptcy. Under his leadership, the company reported a profit for the first time in 7 years in the year to April 2016.
How would you say that bookshops, customers, their habits have changed over the last 10 to 20 years?
They've discovered the internet, and significant numbers of them buy their books that way. And therefore, for high street bookshops of the sort we are, we've had to discover ways to actually justify our presence, which has not been without its trials and tribulations, and indeed the near collapse of this business.
But you didn't collapse. In fact, you've managed to turn the business's fortunes around. So how have you done that?
I think the improvement of IT generally, of which obviously digital technology sits at the heart of, has been about equipping our booksellers with information, allowing them to do their job effectively and quickly and efficiently, but also to allow you to give really good customer service, and then using it to the best of our ability to help customers enjoy our shops, be that through a loyalty card, be that the sorts of promotions and exclusive things that we can do through those channels. Customers have any myriad different questions that they wish to ask of us, and the website allows them to do that very effectively. Do we have a book in stock, and can I reserve it? You can do all of the click and collect, quite functional, simple things, but also particular content. When is an author going to be doing a signing? Is there a talk going on? Because so much of what we do in shops now is around social events and book clubs and book readings and signings and talks. And we can use both traditional sort of email type traffic, but also social media to reach customers in a way that we haven't hitherto been able to do.
Compared to some of the disruptors in your space, you're pretty low tech. Did you worry that you might get left behind?
Well, we're certainly being left behind in terms of what they are doing, because they're doing something completely else. And I think one of the things that perhaps my predecessors have done, and perhaps other retailers might seek to do is compete with an Amazon or compete with one of the real innovators. And my approach is to say, well, they do that very well. I do something completely else. Let me invest in what that is. And in my case, that probably is most of all in the customer service that my booksellers give, but also in the physical environments that I have. The shops have to be beautiful. You have to invest in them. They have to have good lighting, good floors, and we've spent an enormous amount of money and continue to do to make them really beautiful places. Put in cafes. We do things as well around tech, but things that we think our customers really want. So we put Wi-Fi in everywhere. We always are trying to work out how do you make this the nicest possible place in which to spend time. We've returned to those core values of bookselling, and I think have done so with increasing enthusiasm, which has translated into ever better sales.
But one area of digital tech that James Daunt is keen to exploit is the use of customer data.
You've got a loyalty scheme, but that's not the only way that you mine your customers' data, is it?
It's the primary one, because every time you buy something, we bribe you to tell us who you are, and the loyalty card is the way that we do that. I hope that the bribe is primarily now about what you get back as a result of that, and that is much more intelligent, effective communication from us. If I've clearly identified that you're 16 and interested in science fiction and goth associated things, I send you all about that, and I don't send you about sort of Greek philosophy, because that probably isn't your thing, and vice versa. So we can be really intelligent. What we want to see is real engagement, and what we're particularly seeing is just the percentage of people who we send a communication to who open it up and engage with it has to become ever higher.
For Waterstones, it's bricks and clicks. Digital technology complements rather than supplants that in-store experience that book lovers enjoy. Now I'm off to a grocery retailer that doesn't have any stores at all. Ocado is a UK company set up in 2000 by 3 former Goldman Sachs bankers. It's become the world's largest dedicated online supermarket with its pioneering digital technology.
Paul Clark has worked for Ocado since 2006 and has been Chief Technology Officer since 2012.
In what way has Ocado been disruptive, shaken things up?
Our vision right from the start was to use this blend of automation and technology to do online grocery in a fundamentally different way, not to kind of pick from stores or dark stores or anything like that, but really to use centralized fulfillment and all the efficiency and kind of special benefits that brings to our customers to allow us to do online grocery profitably and with great efficiency with fantastic service levels. We get to range over 50,000 different products, and that list is growing all the time. We operate at a fraction of the waste of a conventional supermarket.
What kind of tech makes you stand out?
So I think I'd start with these huge automated warehouses. They're the largest and most complex and most sophisticated of their kind in the world that we know of. The first one that we built was in Hatfield, and if you went there, you'd find many kilometers of conveyor, cranes, shuttles, lots of other machines whizzing around under software control. Given the amount of technology and automation we use in our end-to-end solution at Ocado, maintaining the continuity of the power and data coming into our facilities is really important. And we have multiple lines of defense there. We have backup server rooms and data centers we can fail over to. We have uninterruptible power supplies protecting the sensitive equipment in our warehouses. And we have generator cover that can fire up in a matter of seconds if the national grid connections go down. The funny thing about online groceries, we don't have a Black Friday or a Cyber Monday. The peak load on our e-commerce systems comes when customers book their Christmas delivery slots, because they're at a real premium. And indeed, we sometimes see customers staying up until midnight to grab the ones they want. And in order to respond to that demand, we maintain additional capacity in our on-premise facilities, and in the cloud we can simply scale on demand, which is one of the great advantages of cloud.
You were part of developing Ocado's first mobile app. Talk to me about how that's transformed the consumer experience and how they shop with you.
When we embarked on that journey, the iPhone had just come out, and it wasn't at all clear what consumers would necessarily want to do on those mobile devices as they matured. The customer feedback was that many of them literally wanted just to live on their mobiles, and that now is a truism. We wanted this to work offline. We wanted customers to be able to shop for what was then probably a 30,000 item catalogue so that they could sit in a train going through a Swiss railway tunnel, and that they could place their customer order. When they came out the other end, they could check out, and they would have that freedom for online, offline working, and that was a groundbreaker.
50% of Ocado's customers use mobiles to place their orders, but digital tech is now offering a completely new solution.
I think most people would agree that voice is going to be a next frontier, and that's a very important one for us. And we've taken a really important first step in that direction in terms of launching our Alexa skill recently.
Alexa is an intelligent personal assistant developed by Amazon.
Alexa, what are your deals?
I have several exclusive deals, including Lindor Chocolate Deluxe Gift Box. Would you like to buy it?
Yes.
Alexa marks the first step in a much bigger journey towards conversational interfaces that we're embarking on. And as a first step, we're allowing customers to manipulate their orders, whether it be adding items to it or taking items out, finding out what's in their order, finding out when they can have a delivery.
Does Ocado share Waterstone's appetite for customer data?
Our customers are asking for, if you like, being able to shop faster with lower friction. They want greater personalization. They want us to let them do that 50-item order as quickly as they can, and that's where machine learning and artificial intelligence really comes in, because you can't do all of that smartness, if you like, without it. And of course, if you're going to do AI machine learning, you need fantastic data to train those models. You know, whether it be recommendations engines, or whether it be personalization, whether it be predicting, if you like, what customers might want in their basket before they've even told you.
This explosion of customer data that retailers are gathering and mining raises huge questions about privacy and security. Coming up in part 2, we'll find out about the rules retailers must abide by and how the regulators stay a step ahead in the accelerating world of the digital economy. Retailers launching e-commerce operations are gathering a huge amount of data about their customers. But what are the regulations governing the use of that data, and how are retailers addressing them?
Over in Brussels, the EU Data Protection Supervisor has responsibility for drawing up a new regulation which seeks to allay consumers' worries over the way their personal data is used.
A recent survey showed that more than 75% of users and subscribers do not believe their data are processed in the proper way, and only 2 out of 10 people believe to be in control of their data. So there is a big change towards a more transparent business model. It's time for a new culture in terms of data protection.
Paul Clark at Ocado acknowledges that his customers are concerned about the use of their personal data.
Privacy and security are very, very important topics for our customers. But at the same time, what's also important to them is to be able to shop with ever-increasing levels of personalization, with greater convenience, to do that 50-item Ocado order as fast as they can, to have more time for other things. There's a kind of balance to be struck between using data responsibly but harnessing it in order to deliver what customers want.
What's James Daunt's position on the customer data collected at various touchpoints by Waterstones?
That the data is immensely, well, there's an enormous amount of it, and the potential to be clever and interesting with that is almost infinite. But do we need to respect that data, understand it, not intrude where you don't wish to? Absolutely. And I think part of that should be bound within legislation.
May 2018 brings the new General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR.
The General Data Protection Regulation requires retailers to consider in a different way the rights of data subjects, to allow them to be more in control of their data, to be more transparent about the processing of personal information. The big change is around accountability, which means to go beyond mere compliance, to allocate responsibilities, to have an internal policy to give an answer to any emerging problem, and to take care of new principles such as privacy by design and privacy by default. They are to be embedded in the day-to-day life of every single organization.
So what should retailers be doing now?
I would recommend retailers as well as other data controllers to take data protection regulation seriously, to don't panic and to be proactive in implementing these principles in the day-to-day administration of their organization. The implementation will require a lot of investments, creativity, proactivity. So we try to cut red tapes, but it's time for action.
What is the impact of GDPR going to be on Waterstones?
Our answer to this has been to invest. We happen to be at a stage of the investment cycle when we really need to invest in this, and therefore can relaunch our loyalty card, relaunch our apps, relaunch effectively, and the way in which we keep people's data and the permissions we have and the rules around how we're going to use that, effectively renewing the compact that we have with our customers. We were one of the very earliest of the loyalty card schemes, which was wonderful because we have 4 million people or whatever it is in it and 1 million of them active, huge numbers. But if you started doing that a very long time ago, you are probably not going to be holding people's data in sensible ways. And in fact, there are quite a lot of people who have loyalty cards with us who we can't even contact by email because we didn't, at that point, we weren't asking them for permission to do so. So even at that most basic level, we needed to start again.
What are you doing to prepare yourself for GDPR?
It's about mapping the data flows. It's about looking where that data sits. Of course, it's not just about customer data, it's also about our employee data as well. And it's about, working with consultants, who are looking out across what other companies are doing and are advising us, if you like, on how to tread that line. Because just like security, you could in theory spend an infinite amount of money on security, and it's about judging, what you need to do in order to be as safe as you need to be, because the fact is there is no perfect security.
But for retailers who don't comply with the General Data Protection Regulation, the penalties will be tough.
We will treat retailers as adults, responsible adults, but in case of breach, sanctions will be extremely severe, up to 4% of the annual worldwide turnover.
After the break, I'll be finding out about the future of shopping, the new technologies retailers are excited about, and the changes these may bring to society as a whole. Digital innovation has undoubtedly changed the retail landscape. While much of the chatter is about m-commerce and e-commerce, some companies are bucking that trend and see the future in bricks and mortar.
Target plans to open 130 small format stores in cities across the USA, using customer data to work out what to stock. These stores will support its multi-channel strategy by offering pick-up points for customers who've ordered online. And some companies which launched as online propositions, Warby Parker selling spectacles and sunglasses, and Bonobos selling men's fashion, have been opening physical stores. James Daunt believes he can ensure a profitable future for Waterstones by focusing on old-fashioned bookselling and books. He took e-readers off the shelves in most stores in 2015. How does he see the future of Waterstones?
We are a retailer that appeals to all ages. Children in buggies love being pushed around bookshops and grabbing stuff, and indeed books are bought for 1-year-olds, all the way up to people on their Zwimmers frames. So we appeal to the entire age group and demographic, which is a little unusual. But I think that the heart of the shops and the energy of the shops probably comes from these sort of 20 to early 30-year-olds. That is where the energy comes from. And do you find those people in our bookshops? And the answer is absolutely yes. And one of the great engines of growth that we've had over the last 3-4 years has been young adult. That's important both because it delivers real money into our coffers. It gives us comfort and confidence that those people are going to get older and will remain book readers and keep our business going.
When we think of robotics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, how is all that going to transform the Waterstones of the future?
The high street that you see, the high street shop that you see today is not going to change greatly, particularly a bookshop like ours. We're going to continue selling books because it is a wonderful product. How they're chosen, how they're displayed, A human's going to do that. The customer service is going to be about a human. Anybody who doesn't do that, who goes to robotics, who goes to self-service, is going to die. But what we are going to do is become extraordinarily efficient in how we get the books here, how our supply chain is dealt with, how we communicate with you, how we tell you about things, how we get you ever more personalized and nuanced, both information to interest you, excite you, but also probably around the value that we give you and how we reward you for your loyalty. All of that's going to change beyond recognition. But I don't think that the shop itself is going to fundamentally be any different, any more than the branch we've got just down the road, opened in 1770 something, is different today to how it was 200 and whatever years ago. It hasn't changed, really. Hasn't changed in the books it has on it, the way they're presented, the way customers and booksellers interact. And I don't think it will in 10 years or 20 or 50 or maybe 200.
But what can the customers of disruptor Ocado, which has no stores at all, expect next?
Our business is all about offering choice to our customers, and a great example of that in the future is going to be in the terms of how new technologies are going to disrupt the last mile. We recently did an exciting trial of driverless vehicle technology in Greenwich, where we did driverless deliveries to a number of customers living there. Maybe in the future also, although our customers really value us bringing, those 50-item Ocado orders to their kitchen table in a 1-hour slot, maybe if you want to have a top-up order in the middle of the night, you'll be prepared to go to the curb and have it brought to you by some other kind of driverless vehicle. So it's not about changing one format being completely replaced by another. It's really about offering customers more choice to get their orders in different ways, whether it be driverless, whether it be as they get them now, or whether it be click and collect and other ones we haven't even thought of yet.
What about robotics? What's the future for that in Ocado?
So we have multiple different robotics research programs underway. A huge one is the swarm robotics technology that we're putting into our new warehouses, but also we're looking at how to use robots to pick and pack our customer orders, how to decant products that are coming in from suppliers. We also have 2 Horizon 2020 projects underway. One is about building a new kind of generation of robotic gripper, which is called Soma. And the other one is very exciting too. It's called Second Hands. It's about creating a humanoid maintenance robot that can help our human engineers with their work. And why we're interested in that is because we're going to be building a lot more of these automated warehouses around the world. And so finding ways to help maintain them in an automated way is exciting. But one day I'm also interested about how we might use that same kind of technology to help automate their construction too.
You're talking about automation, robotics, machine learning. What's that going to mean for your workforce?
On Ocado's journey, which has been about automation right from day one, to either drive efficiency or, in some cases, to replace manual work with automated processes. Our labour workforce has only ever increased. We now employ over 13,000 people, and whilst we may bring in new automation, there's always been something else that those people who are doing that can then move on to.
How do you think all of this tech is going to maybe have an impact on society then?
This is a technological wave or tsunami that's coming our way, and what we need to do is to prepare for it. And I think a key challenge here is around education. It's around how we prepare the next generation for this increasingly smart world that they're going to be inhabiting. That's going to be awash with AI and robotics. And there's a lot more we need to do there in terms of teaching true digital literacy, and I would advocate actually mandating digital literacy within the curriculum.
The retail rulebook is changing. Many retailers are embracing digital innovation and the Internet of Things, but there's no one size fits all. The bricks and mortar stores which are thriving are those using meaningful digital technology and insights from their customer data, and that's what's keeping our high street alive.
I.O.T, powering the digital economy. Brought to you by Schneider Electric.